been asked, why don't you speak on black crime? Well, I do, but it has to be spoken on in the proper context. I'm not going to speak on it as if it's the bane of American society, as the mainstream press and racist whites would have you believe, because that's not the case. Black on black crime is no worse than white on white crime, or Asian on Asian crime, or Hispanic on Hispanic crime. You commit crimes where you are, closest to home as a rule, and against those closest to you. That's just how that works. No, I do not like it that young black men are killing each other in the street. I hate that. I've worked to put a stop to that. For years I had spoken against it vehemently. But like I said, it has to be spoken on in the proper context. And it has to be spoken on with an understanding of how we got where we are. These things are not happening by accident. The ills in the black community are not what white American racist whites would have you believe, what white supremacy would have you believe. It's not a result of the pathology of our condition. It's a result on the crimes that were perpetrated on our people. I like the way David Banner, hip hop artist and activist David Banner, breaks it down. We'll all agree, anyone that knows anything about computers, that the CPU, the computer processing unit, is based on the human brain. Now, a computer has to be programmed. And if the computer gets a virus or the program is bad, do you blame the computer or do you blame the programmer or whoever perpetrated the virus? Of course, you blame who perpetrated the virus. You have to understand that we have been programmed. This is not just something that, happenstance. It's, like I said, it's not a condition of our, or a reasoning of our pathology. No, not at all. The indoctrination and what has been done to us, like Dr. Joy DeGruy says, we suffer from post-traumatic slave disorder. And like I heard this young lady break it down, well, you take any profession, for instance. You take a brain surgeon, okay? Person goes to medical school and, goes to college or medical school and what have you. And in 10 years, they're able to perform brain surgery. Ben Carson, a neurosurgeon, brilliant with his hands. In 10 short years, he was able to perform medical miracles with the training that he got. Now, you compare that to 300 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, and segregation and oppression, and the terror that black people lived in, the terror that black people lived under in America for the past 400 years. And then you're going to act surprised because there's something wrong with us? Just the 300 years of slavery, and then just set free with no resources and left to our own devices. And that freedom only actually lasted 10 years during Reconstruction, with no treatment for the trauma that was suffered during slavery. And then 100 years of Jim Crowism. And once again, no treatment, nothing to address the terror and oppression that we lived under for those 100 years of Jim Crowism and oppression and terror. And then we're supposed to be all right. So if I'm not hard enough for you on the ills that take place in the Black community, one, you haven't been listening. Two, you have no understanding of why we behave the way we do. Even with integration, you have to understand the effect that integration had on us. Imagine you have a child, and that child lives in a strict household all its life up until adulthood. And then when it becomes an adult, it's left to their own devices. What do you think that child's going to do? I've seen it myself with people first time away from home. They go wild, they go crazy. That's what happened to us with integration. You know, those walls, those barriers were taken down. And our people just really lost their mind. We had access in a way to the American society that we did not have before. And having already confused quality with white, we moved away from each other. We ran away. We ran away from the segregation. See, I understand that segregation is not necessarily a bad thing. Segregation coupled with terrorism and oppression and second-class citizen is a bad thing. Long before the oppression, even amongst other groups, they segregated themselves and did well. Even now, many communities segregate themselves. Asian communities live amongst Asians and do well. Many Hispanic communities live amongst their own and do well because they have access to resources and they have maintained their institutions. When we had access to the larger society and those barriers were taken down, we abandoned our institutions. It is part of the post-traumatic slave disorder that we suffer, abandoning our own institutions. Case in point, the Negro League Baseball, okay? This was a multi-million-dollar business, okay? With the greatest players in the world. We gave all that up to get one mediocre player. I'm sorry. Jackie Robinson may have been great in Major League Baseball, but amongst the Negro League baseball players, he was actually mediocre. Gave all that up. They're allowed to get one mediocre player in the league. Of course, that opened the door for other black players. But we gave up a multi-million-dollar business to do that. So you have to understand and speak on our condition in the proper context. Understanding how these things came about. And don't blame us. Don't blame us. Yes, I am a great believer in self-responsibility, but I also understand that we're sick and we haven't been healed. I'm Patrice Gibbs. Join me on The Open Eye, Saturdays at 11 on WHGE 95.3 FM. The Open Eye, more than radio.